From the beautiful Missouri Ozarks, it's P.I.D. Radio. Welcome. I'm Derek Gilbert.
That would make me Sharon Gilbert, and welcome to our humble bunker, back bedroom, everybody. We are so delighted to tell you, and we'll give you the whole information after the break, but because of you, Build a Barn Better is proceeding at pace and exciting things.
Oh, yeah. Some new update to share with you, and again, we will tell you more about that after the break. Also, while you get a spare moment, download our app.
Download the app. Yes, indeed.
It is free. Gets you all of our content and guarantees we will not be canceled. We won't be canceled from our own app. You'll find the links to the app stores for iOS, Android, Amazon, Kindle Fire, phones, and tablets at two places, pidradio.com/app or gilberthouse.org/app. Either way, gets you that the link that is right for your device. Also a link to our Roku app and our Apple TV app.
Oh, yeah, the app is amazing. Not just the big screen app, but the small screen app. Because on the small screen, you can participate in conversations.
Yeah, when you look at the main page there in the app, there's a little, like two little talk bubbles up in the top right-hand corner, and you can use that to join in. It's almost like a self-contained social media site, and you'll find like-minded believers discussing the things we discuss in our various programs, but also bringing in topics from outside that you find of interest, and most importantly, prayer requests.
Yes, and if you allow notifications from the app, you will see those requests coming in. Mm-hmm. So that's the way I do it. That way I can see them come in, pray for them, comment on them if I feel inclined. Many of you are doing that, and we just are so grateful to the Lord that you find this sort of bubble talk room, mm-hmm. prayer room, discussion room, because you can talk whatever you want to in there, and we're glad that you enjoy it.
Yeah, and because it's not out on the web, it's not going to be subject to any moderation from the gatekeepers of big tech.
There's no wokeism going on in there.
That is true, but some very important prayer requests that have come back and forth, and we really find that to be the most important aspect of that. So you'll find the app again at pidradio.com or gilberthouse.org. Both places it's /app, and that will take you to the various app stores. And it really has become the most active app just about on my mobile devices.
Mine too. Well, to the news from this week, in fact, this morning, late last night. Yeah. And information came in from Morocco mm-hmm. of what they were calling a 6.8 magnitude earthquake. I'm seeing as high as a 7.2 mm-hmm. this morning. Over 1,000 people are now dead.
Yeah, Morocco is not a place where earthquakes are common.
No, it's on that northwest side of Africa, mm-hmm. and it's a beautiful area. Marrakesh is the main city that I think everybody is aware of. Is Casablanca set there? In Morocco? Forgive me, I can't think of it as or not. You're probably sitting there going yes or no, but it's a well-known area. The earthquake hit outside of Marrakesh. I think it was northeast of there, I want to say. Mm-hmm. But many, many, many buildings have been destroyed or nearly destroyed. It's going to take a long, long time to recover from this. Yeah,
Casablanca is in Morocco. It is the largest city in Morocco. Oh. Marrakesh is, I guess, the second largest.
Okay.
I'll be honest. All I ever knew about Marrakesh is that it was in a Crosby, Stills and Nash song, the Marrakesh Express. But this is, the most powerful earthquake that's hit that country in 120 years.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's in the Atlas Mountains, or just mm-hmm. It's in the foothills of the Atlas Mountains.
Which is interesting because geologically, the Atlas Mountains are thought to have one time been part of our eastern seaboard.
Connected to the Appalachians.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it truly is. So pray for the people in Morocco as they recover, because this is, first of all, it's not a country with a lot of resources. It's difficult enough when something like this happens in a Western nation. When you get a powerful quake, say in California, we've had a couple in our lifetime, the Northridge quake, not as powerful as this one, I don't think, but still the cleanup afterwards is just an incredible amount of work. But even more so, well, as we've seen in Turkey with the powerful quake they had back in February, it just really, really drains a country's resources and puts a lot of strain on the infrastructure. So pray for the people of Morocco. As of this morning, when we first got up, the death toll was around 700, but now they're saying at least 100 or 1,037, according to Associated Press.
So yes, Lord, please,
Mm-hmm.
may this be a chance for many miracles to occur.
Yeah, you've been reading an interesting book about the natural disaster that took place in Joplin, Missouri, more than 10 years ago.
Yeah, huge tornado went through, wiped out the town, essentially. Mm-hmm. I remember you and I think were living in Illinois at the time, and we were shocked by what we saw on television. Just nothing left. And
it was not long after that the second Future Congress was held in Branson, and that was the one where you were not feeling well, and so I came alone.
Not. Yeah, exactly. I regret missing that, but I just recently found out about a book, and I have to thank Jeffrey Martis because he referred to this book in his descriptions of angels in his newest work. And forgive me, I can't think of the name of it now.
It's Prince of the Power of the Air?
Yes, Prince and the Power of the Air. It is a really good book, and you're going to be able to get it as part of a package soon from Skywatch TV Store, so watch for that. But he mentioned this book about how children and adults both were describing angelic interventions during and in the aftermath of that tornado, and some of the kids referred to them as the butterfly people. Mm-hmm. Which really caught my eye. Yeah. So I started looking for books on the butterfly people and found this one. It's available in Kindle. That's how I've been reading it. It's very good. I've nearly finished it. It's very, very good.
Remarkable when you hear one account like that, you think, okay, well, this is a person who was under a lot of stress. Maybe
of course they were.
Delusional, whatever. But when you hear multiple accounts of the same thing.
Multiple accounts. In fact, there were stories of the same situational area, same block. So you'll have a story of one person involved in maybe sitting underneath a car or inside of a car, being injured and being aided by an angelic presence. And then on the other side, the same angelic presence is described by another family that were in the same block.
And that's key. Multiple witnesses seeing the same thing.
Yes. There's one story of, it's describing two, they're described as almost like they could be gigantic football players, around 7 feet tall, black males, dressed in clothes that were not wet. Mind you, this was a tornado that brought torrential rain and hail. They were not wet. They looked brand new. They said nothing, not one word. And they helped individuals to exit a basement where they'd been trapped up a long flight. You might think of it as debris. So climbing a hill of debris. When you're injured, sometimes some of them had back injuries, so they were being helped up by humans at the bottom, and it took 4 or 5 men to lift one woman because of her injuries, and the men at the top, one of them just took her like she weighed nothing. Same 2 men were at another location.
And again, multiple witnesses seeing.
Yes, there's also a wonderful story of a little girl and a dog. The dog, it's a Walmart, and the dog goes in and goes from person to person as these people are slowly coming out of being injured, and maybe they're half conscious, and the dog is licking their faces until they open their eyes and are conscious. And the little girl is saying the same thing over and over again. He won't hurt you. He's fine. He won't hurt you. He's fine. You'll be fine. Things like that. And she was wearing a red raincoat that was not wet. She was not wet. The dog was not panicking. The dog was not injured. The dog was not wet. Everybody else, there's no
little girl,
there was
and
no
parent
roof.
around.
There was no roof
on that Walmart.
On the Walmart, and it had been raining and hailing. So yeah.
Well, I remember when I attended the Branson conference, and bear in mind, Branson is probably hour and a half east of Joplin.
Yeah.
Something like that. And across some pretty hilly terrain, too. And that storm that just leveled Joplin damaged a number of buildings in Branson, including the Walmart in Branson, where I remember that they had the exterior wall on one side of the building. The west side of the building was propped up with steel supports that have been put to hold the wall in place. So that storm just devastated a big chunk of southwest Missouri. But Joplin, multiple stories. I'd never heard any of those stories. And then to find out that, yeah, it's pretty common knowledge here in southwest Missouri.
Yes, so much so that in Joplin, they have I want to say it's either a big mural or a statue of a butterfly person. Yeah, and if I'm wrong on that, Joplin people, please forgive me because I'm trying to remember exactly what was in the book, but it's some sort of memorial to that angelic presence. And again, these angels, some of them talked, one of them was dressed like, sort of like he was from Texas, wearing brand new jeans and a brand new shirt and a hat and had red hair and very nice young man, totally dry, not wet, brand new clothes, very cheerful. Stayed with the woman until she got help.
Yeah.
And then in each case, they're just gone. They're just gone.
Yeah. Again, common knowledge in southwest Missouri, and we've only been here 8 years. It's not something people talk about all the time, but when you ask folks around the Joplin, Missouri area, yes, you're right. There is a mural on a wall there of a giant butterfly. People will go get their pictures taken in front of it, apparently. But and there is a memorial stone, apparently. So, yeah, that was an EF5 that hit in 2011.
That is a strong storm.
Yeah.
So this earthquake that has hit in Morocco, we pray for everyone in Morocco. It doesn't matter what your religion is. We pray that you are safe, that you have a place to sleep, that you get food and water, that people minister to your medical needs, that you know that the rest of the world cares about you. Most of all, that the creator of all things cares about you. Jesus Christ, the Savior of all mankind, cares about you. And we pray that during this, that may be the one good thing that comes out of it for you.
Yeah.
That you come to know him personally.
Amen. The quake in Turkey, just to compare, was a magnitude 7.8.
Yeah, that's a huge difference between a 7.1,
Right.
7.2. Or even a 6.8.
Because it's not a linear.
It's not. It's logarithmic, I think.
Right. So, yeah, as of this count, the earthquake that hit Turkey back on February 6th, officially 59,259 people killed in that quake, with another 122,000 injured. So, yeah, that was pretty intense.
That is indeed.
But, well, shifting gears a little bit, as long as we're bringing the supernatural into this, they're not in the news accounts of this story a supernatural aspect, but there should be. That was the announcement earlier this week, Wednesday, that scientists say they've grown, and it's described in the news account as an entity.
Yes.
A human embryo-like entity created in the laboratory without sperm, egg, or womb.
Well, let me raise my hand. The Lord's saying, get your own dirt, because they're using stem cells.
Right. The question is, if it's not being created with egg, sperm, or womb, but just being grown in a petri dish.
No soul.
Yeah, they're calling it an embryo model. Even releases hormones that triggered a positive pregnancy test.
I know, so what? You put stem cells in there to release the hormones. Sorry, you're not fooling me. Nor are you fooling the creator that made all that quote-unquote dirt. He made all matter and all energy. Everything here is because of him. And just because you think you're smart enough to tinker with what he has left here for us to enjoy and realize this is his imprint upon it, whatever you are doing, scientists, if you're doing things like this, you are doing so at the behest of the fallen realm. You are part of the rebel side. Please reconsider.
Yeah. According to the story, they allowed this thing to grow until it reached a stage equivalent to a 2-week-old embryo after fertilization.
Well, 14 days tends to be when they're required to destroy them.
Right. In many countries, that's the legal limit. That's how far they can go before they have to destroy it.
Well, that's...
Yeah, this is what we
never go past that.
No.
We follow the rules totally.
Look, if we've learned nothing from watching all those old Outer Limits episodes, is that real science is done in somebody's basement lab without any kind of government oversight.
Exactly, and the script says science phrase here.
We reversed the polarity.
I love some of it. Look, we've been watching the old Outer Limits, the 1963-64 series.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful stories, and they're all moral plays, morality plays.
Right.
At the end, you get the narrator saying that this is why mankind should not do these things.
Right. The one with David McCallum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're going to really speed up human evolution, and suddenly he's got 6 fingers and sharply pointed ears.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks like an evil alien.
Well, I see. Turning into a gray.
Yeah. How interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's likely that this type of research will continue and will probably be justified on the basis of, well, we need
to test. We need this for testing.
We need this to find out how we can prevent miscarriages, or we need these to grow replacement organs.
Oh, they've been saying that for decades.
Right. So watch for more stories like that. And as we often say, if this is in the news now, what's actually being done on the cutting edge of science for organizations like DARPA and IARPA, probably well beyond this.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned DARPA, because that's the next story on my list.
Excellent.
Long shot.
Oh,
the turducken drone.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that. They actually call it a turducken drone. If you don't know what a turducken is, it's a chicken inside of a duck inside of a turkey.
Inside a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like Russian dolls, only with,
fowl.
Yeah. But these are done with drones. It's the idea that the drone's inside of a plane, the plane releases the drone's got other drones inside of it, and who knows what's inside of those. And it's like attack after attack after attack. Our military is trying to find ways to erase human involvement.
In the war.
In the war.
Fighting.
In the war,
yeah.
yes. So they can say, well, we have no boots on the ground.
Well, there's that. And also, no risk to humans.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to say. No boots on the ground, therefore no human beings are being risked. Your sons and daughters are safe.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, many of them are actually operating some of those drones remotely.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that requires a connection, which gets us to another connected story. The idea that Elon Musk turned off his Starlink satellites so Ukraine could not launch into Russia.
Yeah, and, that begs the question, because Musk is getting some real interesting pushback from the Biden administration. On the one hand, SpaceX is now launching more cargo into space than any national space agency under contract to the United States government.
Yes.
And under U.S. government regulations, because there are military applications for some of that cargo, not allowed to share those secrets with anyone who's not a U.S. citizen or might have foreign actors, foreign influence. On the other side of the coin, the Biden Justice Department is suing SpaceX for not hiring illegal migrants, for basically saying, look, if you're not an American citizen, we can't hire you. So on the one hand, if they tried hiring a foreign national, they could be in violation of U.S. espionage laws or foreign agent registration laws or whatever. But on the other, they're saying you got to open the jobs to illegal migrants.
A lot of physicists are trying to come through our southern border. Have you noticed that?
You can tell just by looking at them that they're physicists.
They're wearing glasses and a little pocket protector.
Astronomers, engineers.
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, we talked about that previously, but I've talked about it on 5 and 10 about the just absolute insanity of our border policy. The UK is going through the same thing with people crossing the English Channel here in the US. The Biden administration has literally welded open floodgates in Arizona that are normally...
Because Texas won't let them cross.
Right. Texas put the buoys there and won't let them cross. So they shifted to Arizona. And in Arizona, these floodgates that are in, I don't know what you call them, gullies, washes, whatever. They'd be wadis in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Stream beds that are dry most of the season, but during the rainy season, they open those up so that debris washing through the gully doesn't slam up against the border fence and knock the fence down. Also because there's an endangered species of antelope that migrates back and forth across the border. But
are they physicist antelopes?
I don't know.
Do they have glasses and pocket protectors?
I don't know. They're so stealthy.
Oh, they really are.
So anyway, the Border Patrol there when the rains didn't come, they wanted to close the gates because the rains were late this year, a couple of months late. And on the orders of Fish and Wildlife and the national headquarters of Customs and Border Protection, they literally welded the gates open so they can't be closed. And of course, the drug cartels, which now controls the U.S.-Mexican border, they're not stupid. They spotted it. Hey, look, they welded the gates open. So they're literally driving busloads of people, buses of people up to the gates. People just walk through and turn themselves into anyway. So
well, that gets into a whole lot of politics that just are there. Here's the thing. There are plans being made and plans being enacted by the fallen realm. How does our Lord react?
Mm-hmm.
He laughs with derision.
Laughs with derision,
because he's already won the war. He won the war before anything happened.
Mm-hmm.
He knew it was going to happen. He won it. He knew exactly. He's playing chess in an infinite way that the fallen realm, who are finite, cannot do.
Yeah.
So just remember that the Lord is still in control.
And coming back to Ukraine and wars and rumors of war.
Yes, I'm glad you did that.
Things there have not been going as the West would have hoped.
No, not at all. But before we go into, I think, where you're going to go, let's just return to Elon Musk.
Okay.
You and I began to talk about his Starlink LEO system.
Mm-hmm.
That's low Earth orbit, LEO, which is the lion.
Yeah.
His Starlink system back in the early Sci-Friday days, probably 2018, 2019, whenever he was starting to put those up. And he was getting permission from the U.S. government, from NASA, to put them into orbit because they are like a Tholian web around our Earth.
Star Trek
Seriously,
reference.
there are hundreds of them up there now.
There are, and you can see the chains of the Starlink satellites going across the sky.
Yes, you can. They have marred our nighttime sky.
Right.
The fact that NASA and the U.S. allowed him to do this means that in the administration's eyes, they have access to all of them.
Right.
Now go to our Space Force.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say again, if you're going to remotely access drones, you need to be able to robustly communicate with them.
Right.
That's where the Starlink system comes in.
Mm-hmm. And Musk, to his credit, he says, look, I'm not trying to take sides in this war here. I just don't think the war is a good idea.
No.
People are dying, and I think that's something that all of us can agree on, regardless of what you think about Zelensky or Putin.
I absolutely agree with him. I really, really do. And had the U.S. been involved in an incursion into Crimea at that point, it might have been international ramifications. Suddenly, the NATO-Russia war would have been overt. Right now, it's covert.
Yes, but I think when historians look back on this period of history, and in fact, they may even go back to 2014 and the U.S.-backed coup in Ukraine, where Viktor Yanukovych, who was the Russian-backed, or at least he was pro-Russian president or president of Ukraine, was forced out by the Maidan Revolution. And of course, this followed the Orange Revolution that the Bush administration tried to foment, ironically, working with George Soros and his Open Society initiative. They're all part of the deep state.
Yes.
Yeah. Bush, he's a conservative. Soros is a progressive. No, they're both working for the deep state.
Well, Russia has been trying to take over the territories it lost during the breakup of the USSR. He's slowly putting the band back together. He believes that he's got Russian majority in those areas. And
Crimea and the Donbass,
they should be Russian.
Yeah. So you've got the conflict there that continues to simmer. The Ukrainians have not taken back the territory that they thought and that was hoped. And the corporate media here in the U.S. is beginning to admit that. There have been stories come out in the New York Times and Washington Post, which are sort of like the official places that the government leaks things. When the intelligence community wants something out there, it goes to the Washington Post. And they published a story a couple of weeks ago that intelligence analysts inside the U.S. and the U.K. have now concluded that Ukraine is not going to reach its objective. There was a town called Melitopol,
Mm-hmm.
which is a key crossroads in the Donbass that if Ukraine had been able to take it, would have cut the land bridge that Russia created between Russia through the Donbass to Crimea. Because right now, the only land access to the Crimean Peninsula is through that Kerch Bridge, which is very long. And so it's, as we've seen with 2 drone attacks on that bridge since the war started, it's
I'm sending you something.
It is, well, let's see. It's not coming through here because I don't have the Wi-Fi on.
Oh, sorry.
So it went to a different place. The bridge is a weak spot, and it is vulnerable to attacks like that. So that's why the Russians wanted to grab that eastern and southern portion of Ukraine. So what then is going on? My point in all this is I was rambling, trying to remember where I was going with this.
Here's where I need my keyboard so I can vamp.
Yeah, 2014 may be looked upon by historians in the future as the beginning of World War III, and that we are already in the early stages of it, just as we didn't recognize that World War I began in, say, 1914, or that World War II really began with Japan's invasion of Manchuria in 1931.
I will say that in some form or another, we've been at world war for at least, if you want to think of the world as the West, that's how we tend to think of it, the West. And sometimes the East gets involved against the West. In the case of World War II, where Japan came in. Since the Crimean War, we have been at war with Russia in some form or another.
And the Crimean War was what, 1850s, right?
1850s. And then you come into that led eventually into World War I, which, because Europe became sort of this just bubbling cauldron of competing nations. The Germanic nations were coming together. Russia was trying to find its place in the world. There was a lot of unrest there. It was leading up to the Russian Revolution. The West had finally decided to break their ties with the Ottoman Empire, and because they'd been propping it up for a long time. And it led to World War I. World War I sort of ended, simmered and moved into World War II, which led to the Cold War, which led to the dissolution of the USSR, sort of. And now we're where we are. In 2008, Russia was going into South Ossetia and other areas, taking over that. Again, putting the band back together.
Right. And those are also majority Russian enclaves inside other nations.
Wars and rumors of wars. Tribe against tribe, ethnos against ethnos. These things have been bubbling for 150 years. And I think they are just about to bubble over into another, what we call World War. You're right. World War III, if we want to give it a demarcation, probably began in 2014.
Interestingly, the new front in this world war may be Africa.
Yes.
As Defense One, which is a site that we look at that publishes defense news, and it certainly represents the deep state's view of the world, but it's important to know what they think. Russia apparently had some travelers with interesting itineraries just before the recent coups in Niger, Mali, Gabon, and the ongoing conflict in Sudan, where you had people either connected to the Russian military itself or Wagner, which, even though Prigozhin is no
ostensibly dead, because he put out a video, supposedly.
He's officially dead.
Yeah.
But there are people who, using surveillance tactics, electronic signals surveillance, or SIGINT. Yeah, all the cool guys would say SIGINT. Tracked these guys to these enclaves just prior to these military overthrows in Niger, Mali, and Sudan, or in Gabon, and in Sudan, which is a conflict between two factions within the military for control there. Wagner Group is reportedly, or has reportedly been exfiltrating diamonds to Russia in exchange for backing one side in that conflict.
So it's a polite way of saying they're just permanently borrowing them?
It's, it's just liberating.
As long as you don't take more than $900 worth.
Yeah, I suppose. Like in California.
Yeah.
Anything under $950, that's fine.
Well, they have been doing that.
Just a misdemeanor.
That whole Horn of Africa area, which is an extremely important area strategically. It controls access to the Suez Canal area.
So you got that going on. U.S. saying with its latest $1 billion aid package for Ukraine that we're going to send depleted uranium ammunition to Ukraine, tank rounds. Putin says if they deploy depleted uranium to Ukraine, we will do likewise, but responsibility for any health issues that result from the use of depleted uranium will be on the United States. So anyway, this seems to be just edging closer and closer. There was also news over the past week that an item in the U.S. defense budget under the Air Force called for building a new dormitory at RAF Lakenheath, a base in the UK. And it's a type of dormitory, or for the purpose of the dormitory was essentially for nuclear safety.
Yes.
And again, Russia said, look, if you deploy nuclear weapons to the UK, which would be the first time that they would have been there in 15 years. We pulled our nukes out 15 years ago under Obama. Is that right? 15 years ago, 2000. It would have been right at the end of the Bush administration. They said they would take countermeasures, whatever that means. So anyway, things just keep ratcheting up slowly but surely. But again, wars and rumors of war, nation against nation, ethnos against ethnos. Look up, because your redemption draws near.
Redemption draweth nigh. So let's take a break, and then we'll come back and talk some more about what's going on in the world, including a mystery building in New York.
Mystery building in New York and archaeology in Israel is cool.
I know.
Straight ahead on PID Radio. Everyone learns differently, and that's why we write fiction.
It is. I find that some people love to read nonfiction, but there's something about fiction that psychologists say breaks that fourth wall. You no longer doubt what you're reading. You get so engrossed in the story that you learn. You can learn propaganda, or you can learn God's truth.
Absolutely. So, yes, we write nonfiction books, but we are also using the gift of storytelling to try to teach spiritual warfare and spiritual truths. And during the months of August and September, we're offering all 10 of our novels at 20% off.
All 10 at 20% off? That's crazy.
That's right.
That is really, really a good deal. And now's the time if you want to buy gifts for birthdays or Christmas or whatever gift-giving season it is. It could even be Mother's Day next year. This is the time to save 20% on all of our fiction. And Derek's fiction is really, really good if you've never read it.
And Sharon's Red Wing Saga, 8 novels so far. She's hard at work on number 9. If you want to get engrossed in characters who are really grappling with the supernatural and trying to make sense of that world while teaching the divine counsel concepts that we try to communicate here, get involved in the Red Wing Saga. Again, all 8 of those novels, plus my 2 novels, The God Conspiracy and Iron Dragons, 20% off now only at our online store. That's gilberthouse.org/store. Welcome back to PID Radio. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I am Sharon Gilbert, and we are delighted that you choose to spend a little bit of time with us on Saturdays or whenever you're listening to this. We record these and leave all of these in the archives for as long as the Lord will allow them to stay on the server.
That's right. Subscribe at Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever fine podcasts are sold. You'll find us there. And, of course, we're on YouTube as well. But if you do subscribe on YouTube, we especially encourage you to download our app, because you never know when we might say something that violates their community guidelines.
You never know. By the way, we've got an announcement to make, a couple of them. One has to do with the trip to Israel next year. We do not have confirmation yet, but that announcement is forthcoming. However, we have begun negotiations for coffee.
Oh, yes. Official Gilbert House coffee. So we'll
Snarling Dachshund coffee is going to be coming your way sometime. Well, probably by the end of this year.
Yeah, Snarling Dachshund and Bunker Buster.
Bunker Buster coffee, yes. Bunker Buster beans.
So we'll have an announcement about that certainly once that becomes available. And
Bunker Buster in the barn.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, could call one called Barn Raisin.
Barn Raisin with raisin flavor in it.
But no pumpkin spice. That's right out.
I'm sorry. I know a lot of you like pumpkin spice. Some of my really closest friends love pumpkin spice coffee. I just can't, no.
Love pumpkin pie, but leave pumpkin in the pie where it belongs.
Yeah, see, I like pumpkin pie-ish. My favorite pies are actually apple, cherry, things like that.
Well, yeah. But pumpkin, if you're going to have pumpkin in the pie.
Yeah, please, in the pie. Pumpkin bread is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of the barn, we now have fans. We have fans.
I know. Our fan club is now installed in the barn. There are 3 of them.
Yes. Dave and Barb, Christ-Powered Construction of Aurora, Missouri. They came out and they worked real late yesterday.
They did.
Because they're also doing work for Tom Horn now.
Mm-hmm.
Tom has recognized the quality of their work, and so he's putting them to
Tom
work.
is stealthily taking over.
Yes. All of the qualified construction people in Southwest Missouri.
I can't blame him. Everybody around here is really busy.
Amen. But God bless Dave and Barb. They worked real hard last night. And it was really, that middle fan. We've got 3 fans in there. It's a 1,200 square foot space. So we wanted some air movement in there to maximize the efficiency of the HVAC system, which is going in this coming week. Yeah.
Yes.
And they got the first fan and the last fan programmed to the remote. The middle fan had worked, and then suddenly it just was not responding to anything. So finally, around 8 o'clock last night, Dave got up on the ladder again and just double checked the connections. And whatever it was, because he's a very careful electrician.
He is.
It's not likely that something came loose, but for whatever reason, the receiver in there just was not receiving a signal, and he got it fixed. So now all 3 are working on the same remote, moving quite a bit of air, these 52-inch fans, and we thank you for making it possible, because this work is not the kind of thing that I am qualified to do. I installed one light fixture once in my life, and had to have my friend Dave Schuler come back and fix it because I didn't do it right. But I'll tell you what, we learned this past week is they were taking some of the stuff that they pulled out of the barn during the construction process, and they pulled the old electrical panel out and replaced the electrical panel, the new breaker panel. And he found when he pulled out the panel that the old box had scorch marks in it. It had been arcing inside the box. We could have lost the entire barn.
Yes, and maybe worse. The Lord protected us even though we didn't know that we needed protecting. And this is one of the big lessons that I'm taking away from this. You know, I tend to be someone who can see connections. So when I'm looking at a situation, I can see X, if you do this, this will happen, and then this will happen. So I can see the consequences of a possible action. And, you know, like if you set your cup at a certain place and I see, okay, tiny movement that will fall over, it's going to fall on the dog's going to, you know, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, I often will pray, please, Lord, protect this, because I can, you know, I know that these things can happen, but you are always here. It's those times when you don't see it. There's no clue. You have no idea you need protecting, that he is always there. We are never alone.
Right.
Our shepherd's always here.
Yeah. That's not the first time we found something in this house that had we not opened a wall, or rather had Christ-Powered Construction open a wall.
Yeah.
When they were putting in the aluminum vent for the dryer to replace the, you know, the plastic slinky type tube that was connecting the dryer vent to the outside, and found that it had pulled away from the vent connection on the outside, was blowing all the lint in between the walls right up against the back of the fireplace.
Yeah, the fireplace is a corner fireplace, so all in that corner area was open. So it was just lined with scorched lint.
So twice now we have been protected that we know of. There may be others that we don't even know about.
There are probably lots of others. If you've been listening to this for a long time, you've heard us talk about the roof walker back in the days. There are a lot of things that the Lord takes care of.
You know, I was just doing some research the other day, by the way, for a discussion that I had. I this past week I had the opportunity to talk a couple of times on various topics. I was a guest on the Zach Drew show with Zach Drew and Josh Peck, and talking.
That was a great show.
Well, the topic is great, and I find it fascinating. We talked about the Essenes and their influence on New Testament theology, but I addressed the Hear the Watchman Zoom Fellowship, Mike Kerr and Jeannie Moore, twice a week, in addition to hosting the Hear the Watchman conferences. And by the way, they've got a conference coming up next March, and I'll need to put up their graphic because I'm going to put together a video presentation for that because we'll be in Israel when the conference is on.
Yes.
Because it's going to be during the next great American eclipse,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in Dallas, which will be one of the places to view the eclipse.
Right, because in the past when Mike has said, these are the dates I have, and we've said, no, we were going to, he's always changed the date.
Right.
To accommodate his speakers, and we appreciate that. But
Yeah,
he can't change the eclipse date.
He prayed for the Lord to move the date of the eclipse.
Still.
Yeah, but God said, no, sorry, you're just going to have to do without the Gilberts. But anyway, I addressed their Zoom fellowship, which they host twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it's always a good gathering because he brings in speakers like L.A. Marzulli or Jamie Walden or Michael Boldea, Coach Dave, lots of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I will go on there and do that every couple of months. And I talked about, my subject of my talk was 3 things you didn't know about Satan, or 3 things you don't know about Satan. And in the process of researching that, I found that not only did Jews of the Second Temple period believe that there was more than one Satan, because in Hebrew the word just means adversary or
Right.
accuser, there are prayers that ask the Lord for protection against all Satans.
Mm.
In fact, it's mentioned twice in the book of Enoch. There are 2 references in the book of First Enoch that make reference to the Satans, plural. But in the context of one of these exorcistic prayers, this was found in a bowl, a Jewish exorcistic prayer found in a bowl dated to the last couple of centuries before the birth of Christ. It also asked for protection against roof howlers.
That's interesting.
So I know that was a long way around to get back to the roof walker here,
We're
but I
taking
thought,
the long way. Mm.
yeah, the long way around. But roof howlers was something that was prayed against by Jews in the time of Jesus and the apostles.
Well, here's an interesting bit of information that connects to that we found out about when we were in Jeffersonville, Indiana, with David Heavener.
Oh, yes.
He was talking about the gargoyle that would leap from roof to roof in Louisville.
Right. What was that called?
The Louisville Howler or the Louisville... Gosh, what is it called? You're probably sitting there shouting at us right now.
Yeah.
Especially if you live in the Jeffersonville, Louisville area. Yeah, we'll find it out, and if nothing else, you can put it in the show notes. But
Yeah.
a gargoyle.
The demon leaper.
The demon leaper, that's it. But it's described like it's a gargoyle kind of conformation to it. It's a spirit of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
These are demonic entities that are foot soldiers. And they're used like dogs or something
Mm-hmm.
to go out and torment human beings.
Makes you wonder, because in some texts, and not these are extra biblical, so we can't, we can only use them for context, yeah, clues perhaps for further research, that perhaps the sons of God who rebelled against Jesus, or rebelled against God, well, that would be Jesus as well.
Hey.
Genesis chapter 6, that they sinned against the animals as well.
Mm-hmm.
So would these hybrid animals also have demonic spirits that were, theriomorphic?
Yes, I think so. I do, because we get a lot of references to entities of the spirit realm that are hybrid entities that are part humanoid, part terrestrial animal.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the entities in the heavens are described in ways that are theriomorphic. The cherubim are a combination of various forms that we recognize, at least
bull, lion, eagle. Yeah.
Exactly.
Huh.
So my question would be, if they sinned against the animals, then is it possible that the spirits of those hybrid creatures after the flood maybe weren't quite as bright as the spirits of the hybrids with humans?
Right.
So you've got a hierarchy within the demonic realm.
Mm-hmm.
Some are more powerful and brighter, more intelligent than others.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the roof leapers or the demon leaper or whatever isn't quite as sharp as
roof howlers.
Yeah.
Roof walkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I write them way in that way in the Red Wing saga. There are some demons that are assisting some of the fallen angels, and some just aren't quite as bright as the others.
Globnik.
Yeah, Globnik and Shishak. But yes, I think there are a lot of there are shades of gray within the fallen and the unseen realm that we just cannot appreciate. And the Lord is always here to protect us. That's what I take away from many of the Psalms. I love the Psalms. Psalm 91, Psalm 23, where we see the shepherd leading us, always there with his weapons. He's got them, rod and staff. They are weapons, but they are also symbols of kingship.
Right.
He is our king, our shepherd king, which is, he's the good shepherd.
Yeah.
And of course, I've given talks on the bad shepherd too. You don't want him. Well, connected to this is a mystery building. We don't know what's leaping from this roof, but we don't know what's inside of it either. In New York City, there is a very tall skyscraper that looks like it's taller than it is stories-wise, but it actually contains fewer stories. It looks 40 stories high, but it actually has, I think, 27. It is, interestingly enough, at 33 Thomas Street.
33, huh?
33 Thomas Street. It has been giving off MI6 vibes, according to one witness.
It looks like something from a
Metropolis.
Metropolis, right? An Art Deco type.
Doesn't it though?
Building looks, or something from a like a Soviet era poster.
There are no windows. There are no windows in this building. Oh, sorry, 29 floors.
Yeah, but it's about 400 feet tall. It is called the Long Lines Building, designed and built between 1969 and 1974. You know, this is really weird because it was built for AT&T.
Yes.
For telephone switching equipment. Yeah. Okay, the reason that it's the height of a 40-story tower but only has 29 floors because all the switching equipment needed extra tall ceilings.
Right.
So each floor is farther apart than it would be normally.
Right. It's not that they're extra tall lizard people walking in there, which is what some people seem to think. I'm laughing because I doubt that's the theory. That's the truth. However, what is going on inside this building? The Intercept did an investigation into it, and we can link to that report if you want to see it. But it appears like there's a high probability that there is some sort of surveillance taking place inside this building because our own country is running something called TITANPOINTE. TITANPOINTE.
Okay.
With an E on the end. TITANPOINTE.
And you know, it's got those odd T-shaped pillars on the outside.
Yes, it does.
Those
doesn't
kind of reminiscent of the T-shaped pillars at Göbekli Tepe.
A little bit. Yes, they are. We need to send this to Judd Burton and to Aaron
Judkins, yeah.
Aaron Judkins, the Judds.
TITANPOINTE.
TITANPOINTE.
The investigation by the Intercept, which was done back in 2016. Somehow that escaped our attention.
It escaped mine until just recently.
It includes documents leaked by Edward Snowden, providing compelling evidence, according to the article, that the NSA has been using this as a surveillance site codenamed TITANPOINTE. Oh, I'm going to have to work this into.
Yes, I knew you would. I knew you would.
The reason I said
God
this
Game,
is
by the way, is the follow-up to The God Conspiracy, for those of you who've read the book.
Yeah. The reason I think this is interesting is because this, like the building in St. Louis that I'm already using, the vacant high-rise on Chestnut.
The one with the ziggurat on top?
No. It's about 2 blocks from the one with the ziggurat.
Okay.
The one with the ziggurat on top is the Public Courts building that was built in the late 1920s.
That's right.
And it lines up perfectly when you look from the east through the St. Louis Arch. You see this building with a ziggurat on top and then 2 sphinxes, which are probably what the Cherubim look very much like the Cherubim.
They do.
Yeah, so it almost is like, okay, a ziggurat that sort of looks like the Ark of the Covenant. on a building in St. Louis. But 2 blocks from there is that building at 909 Chestnut. Is that right? 909 Chestnut?
That sounds right.
And that, too, was a building that was built, 909 Chestnut, or called the Beacon on Chestnut. Formerly one SBC Center, one Bell Center, and one AT&T Center. It, too, was built for AT&T. It is now vacant. It's been vacant for some years. It recently went to foreclosure.
Vacant?
Yeah, in air quotes. In the God game, of course, it is the headquarters of a new company that is headed up by one of the characters. But yeah, it is. It too is a very, very odd building, being right across the street from that strange sculpture park.
Yes, very strange.
Along the Market Street, the parks that line Market Street between Market and Chestnut.
Are there any T-shaped pillars in there?
There is one that looks like a doorway. Looks like a portal with an egg on top that is cracking open, like from the
really
Alien
creepy.
movies. Yeah,
that is really,
and
really
it
creepy.
is called the Door of Return. Is the title of that statue.
Oh my goodness!
And it faces 909 Chestnut. So it's very, very kind of creepy. Does it mean anything? No. Well, not necessarily. Let me put it that way. But
Fallen Realm love to put things in stone. They love to leave their imprints. And the question is, are they actually building machine?
Well, in my novel, yeah, sure.
Well, exactly. I mean,
absolutely.
If you think as of buildings and stone structures like Stonehenge and Göbekli Tepe, that these have meaning. They form portal engines into the other world. Yeah.
There are a couple of other very interesting pieces of statuary there. I visited with Nicole when I was there for the Cardinals-Yankees game back in July.
I bet she loved that.
Yeah, because one looks like, it's called Scarecrow, but it looks like the Hat Man.
Ooh, no. Hat Man shows up in the Red Wing Saga. Hat Man's a real thing. Kids see Hat Man.
Yes. I've seen Hat Man.
Yeah.
My one clearly remembered episode of Night Terrors.
Yeah.
I was actually 22, so I wasn't a kid. But and I don't remember the hat being a top hat. I just remember a hat. It was probably more of a fedora. But anyway, and it was just the shadow on the wall outside. I didn't see the character, the Shadow Man directly. But Shadow Man or Hat Man, this Scarecrow statue in St. Louis looks very much like that. And then there's the other one called, what was the one? The one that's like the giant head that's lying on its side.
Oh, I can't remember.
Eros?
Yes, I think it is called Eros.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. E-R-O-S?
Right, E-R-O-S. So you've got this giant Titanic, Titan-esque head lying on its side at the entrance to this park. It's very, very strange.
Well, with regard to this strange building, which is all part of that, and I think if you look at
back to 33 Thomas Street.
Yes, back to 33 Thomas Street. But I was just saying many, many cities across the world have strange buildings, and that's why I think that they're there for a purpose. It's sort of our version of building Stonehenge or Göbekli Tepe. It was Edward Snowden, who, however it was, he got access to these. I still think that whole story is much deeper than we're being told.
Turf war inside the intelligence community.
Yes, I think
CIA
so
versus NSA. Yeah.
Some of the information he revealed links TITANPOINTE, which is some sort of intelligence operation, to a partner called Lithium. The code name is Lithium, Lithium is the NSA's code for AT&T.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
In other words, they're spying on you.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, I remember back in 2010, we spoke at that conference in Chicago that Russ Dizdar put together. And I did a presentation there, and then also at the Supernatural Science and Prophecy Conference in Akron that Tom Dunn and Russ Dizdar put together on, I think it was titled Facebook and Antichrist, but it was basically about how tech is being used to spy on us. And we went back to, there's a P.I.D. radio episode from 2006 where we talk about Snowden's revelations on the AT&T data center in San Francisco.
Oh, yes.
And how they essentially had wiretapped the entire country. And a privacy group, I think it's the Electronic Frontiers Foundation, but I could be wrong. Anyway, a privacy group filed suit against the NSA for that, and a judge tossed out the suit, saying that because this wiretap, which is essentially a country tap, got every signal that went through the AT&T switching center in San Francisco, and that may be what this center in New York is for, that no individual had standing to sue because it affected everybody. So in other words, if the NSA wiretapped your phone, you could sue. But since they were tapping everybody, all 350 million of us, it's fine. I was like,
no,
what?
I know that makes no sense whatsoever.
But that's how the deep state covers for itself.
Well, a lot of that has been going on. Yep. Well, that's the high weirdness at 33 Thomas Street. Look it up on Google Maps. I think you'll be surprised at how strange it looks.
Looks somewhat like an elongated ziggurat. Like if you squished it down.
Yeah, I need to get more pictures of it because this article only has a few. I need to actually go on and look at it in 3D. I want to see what's on top of it.
Low angle shots looking straight up the building, but seeing what's on top would be very interesting. So there is that. We can also point out that this past week we learned that Special Operations Command SOCOM is deploying a new system called Argus. Argus, of course, in Greek religion, Greek mythology, was a giant who had 100 eyes. He guarded
the golden fleece, didn't he? No, that was a dragon.
Guarded a calf, a heifer that was really, really important, and that Hermes had to kill him in order to steal that.
The cattle?
Yeah, I think that's how it goes. Anyway.
Did he steal Apollo's cattle or something?
He did, but that wasn't guarded by Argus. But anyway, that's the point. Argus here is like eyes everywhere, and not all of them slept, which was what made him such a good guard.
Well, yeah. He had eyes everywhere.
Special Operations Command, SOCOM, has contracted a New York-based company called Accrete AI, ACCRETE, to deploy software that detects real-time disinformation on social media.
Argus Panoptes.
Yes. Argus, all eyes.
Yes. He was the guardian of the heifer nymph to Io and the son of Arestor.
One of the giants.
Yeah.
And he was killed by Hermes, as I recall.
Probably in this article somewhere.
Yeah.
Argus was Hera's servant. His great service to the Olympian pantheon was to slay the chthonic serpent-legged monster Echidna as she slept in her cave.
Ah.
To free Io, Zeus had Argus slain by Hermes. You're right.
Yeah. Well, SOCOM is hiring this company, Accrete AI, to deploy this software on behalf and with funding from the U.S.
Software
government.
that is a panopticon.
Right. Looking for disinformation on social media and flagging it for attention. But the company then announced it will launch an enterprise version of Argus Social for disinformation detection later this year. Hey, if you're a major corporation, you don't want people out there spreading rumors about your company that could affect your shareholder value. Deploy Argus Social. And so here's the thing. This software, this AI software for detecting disinformation is being funded by the U.S. military, but then it will be deployed in the private sector.
Yeah. Well, I had my hand up because ChatGPT is now or a form of it is now being used by quite a number of online news sources to write articles or to translate articles. And apparently, who is it that is now using it almost entirely?
There are sports reporting networks that have been using AI to do this for some time now, or algorithms anyway, where they say, okay, to summarize this story of Team A versus Team B, look for the top performing players on each team. So-and-so pitched 7 strong innings as so-and-so beat so-and-so 5-3, yeah, so on.
Gizmodo recently fired their Spanish translation team. Gizmodo wants to reach a large demographic, so outside the English-speaking world. So they had a Spanish translation team and maybe others, I didn't know. But they fired them and they're now using an algorithm, a ChatGPT sort of a program to translate them. However, the bot's translations appear to be free of any human editing process because they are plagued with basic formatting errors, punctuation chaos, and even the occasional bit of HTML gore. That's how it's described in the article. This is indicative of what's going on. I think they're to save money. Real people, humans are losing their jobs and being replaced by these chatbots or AI ChatGPT sort of programs that will write the article, translate the article, and they are full of errors. The other problem that I read in a related article has to do with the fact that they are biased to the left. Because they are just simply repeating what they can find on Wikipedia and other sources, which are biased to the left.
Yeah, there have been a number of stories out, and oddly enough, one of these is coming from Gizmodo, talking about how AI-generated content is essentially taking over the web, and that is junk. AI generative model, this is from theweek.com. AI generative models are driving a surge in content on fake news sites. The internet, already full of spam and misinformation, but recently, generative artificial intelligence models have made it much easier and cheaper to churn out lower quality content.
So my question is, who's going to go after these algorithms?
Other algorithms.
Yeah. I mean, if the whole point is to get rid of misinformation and disinformation, if it's the algorithm that's spreading it.
Avogadro Corp.
Yes. Yeah. So who gets chastised?
AI war.
Cancel ChatGPT.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
But it is interesting that, the Department of Defense is funding the rollout and development of this Argus AI because they can't deploy it because of posse comitatus laws.
Right.
They can't deploy it themselves, but they can fund it, create it, and then now that it's already created, the company that created it can take it and roll it out to big tech, which is in the service of the deep state.
So they're bending that rule to the point where it almost breaks, but not quite.
We'll fund the development, and then you roll it out in the private sector.
Well, here's a think. I like think. 33 Thomas Street. Avogadro Corp. Just lurking inside. If you watched, what was the great show that we used to watch with Michael? He played, he always had a bird name.
Michael Emerson.
Yeah, Michael
Harold
Emerson.
Finch.
Harold Finch. And he had created something he called The Machine. I would say The Machine may have lived at 33 Thomas Street.
Person of Interest.
Yeah,
Jim Caviezel.
Great show.
And very instructive as to where we're going. We need to rewatch that.
I know. We've got the DVDs.
Yeah. Well, maybe closing on a little more of an upbeat story here.
Yes, please do.
But it is related. That is the development of wearable textiles.
Oh, I saw that.
Wearable textiles.
That you can wash.
Yeah. And this is actually from IARPA.gov. So
IARPA is the information wing of DARPA.
Right.
They are the ones getting out there and creating all the cyber stuff.
We are not making this up. They are looking for bids on creating what they're calling smart, electrically powered and networked textile systems.
Electrically powered?
Electrically powered and networked textile systems that would collect data and then share it. Basically, it would spy on the wearer.
Smart ePANTS?
That's exactly what the acronym is. It's smart. And that's the headline.
I know.
IARPA is Smart ePANTS. Smart ePANTS.
Okay, here's the thing. Look, do you, Derek, want to wear a pair of ePANTS that are electrically powered?
No.
Think about that.
No, I do not. I don't want something that is sending off radiation, electromagnetic waves in the vicinity of the junk. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, he spilled his coffee.
Oh, seriously. The United States taxpayers spent more than $20 million on this program at IARPA to develop smart ePANTS. This is why the Lord laughs in derision.
He does indeed. Well, he must have put, Globnik in charge of that one. Well, you know what? We have to laugh. We really do. Psalm 2, we'll direct you to that once again because it does show that the Lord knows everything that's going on. He's the true panopticon.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that truly
Yes.
sees everything. He never sleeps. He never slumbers. He always watches. The fallen realm try to imitate that, but they are limited by design.
Yes.
They are created beings, not creators.
Yes. One final thing, because I did mention this before the break, and I want to bring this up, and we can relate this to our upcoming Israel tour.
Oh, good.
Because when we go back next April, we'll be there March 31st through April 9th of 2024 in Israel with our special guest, Timothy Alberino.
Oh, yes.
Author, filmmaker, adventurer, modern-day Indiana Jones. He will be with us, and he'll be seeing some of these megalithic sites in Israel for the very first time.
I know. I'm so excited.
Yeah. And when we go, it's possible that by then, the Israel Antiquities Authority, the Israel National Parks Authority, and the City of David Foundation may have opened up the Pool of Siloam.
I so want to go there. I so want to go there.
The steps of the Pool of Siloam have been exposed for the first time since the Romans sacked the city in 70 AD. Archaeologists have made some very exciting progress here just in the last few weeks. They've unearthed 8 steps descending into the pool, and it appears that they are getting ready to open this up to tourists for the first time. It is absolutely astonishing.
Well, astonishing in Israel is almost every day. Every day you get to see something over there with us that will astonish you. Many people go back again. We've got at least one tourist, if you want to call her that, one of our friends who is going back for the 3rd time.
Oh, God bless her.
Yes, I know. We've had others that have gone twice. One of the sites that we have visited and hope to visit again is Joshua's altar. It is an incredible experience to stand there in that place where Joshua made that commitment that his house would serve the Lord. We get to say that together in that very spot. And we need to pray that that spot remains available to us and that it is not damaged, because the Palestinians are trying to build a road up there. They have no plans that are really genuine plans. They simply want to destroy it.
Yeah. Last Sunday, an archaeologist who's responsible for protecting sites in Judea and Samaria, which the world calls the West Bank, found a road grader, piece of heavy equipment that was beginning to grade a road. Apparently, the Palestinian Authority wants to build 32 housing units.
32?
32. On the site of the ruins of Joshua's altar.
Yes. And they're already disassembling the foot-shaped structure around it, the wall.
Right. They tried doing that a couple years ago to build a road, and Aaron Lipkin and a team of volunteers went and rebuilt it, reconstructed it, repaired what had been damaged. Now, this area is in Area B, which is under the control of the Palestinians. The security is shared between the PA and the Israeli Defense Force. So
the IDF has gone in again.
They went in and they confiscated that road grader and stopped the work. But Aaron Lipkin, and we'll put a link to this in the show notes, has set up a petition online to ask the Netanyahu administration to establish a permanent presence there to protect that site. It's really frustrating because for devout Muslims who are commanded in their scriptures, the Quran, to respect people of the book, you would think that Joshua, as the acolyte, the successor to Moses, that they would respect his site and the place that the Israelites, they see themselves as successors to that tradition.
Yes.
But this is a political thing.
It's very political. They do not even respect their own sites.
No.
There are young Arabs, thugs, Palestinians who are going into the places on the Temple Mount.
The Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Exactly. And they are desecrating them. They wear shoes in there. They are taking weapons of war in there, not just stones, but also Molotov cocktails, things like that. It is spiritual warfare that is starting to heat up.
Yeah.
If you want to go to Israel with us, you will be safe. Aaron makes sure that every step we take is guarded, and permission is given to those areas like Joshua's altar that the military go with us. So just understand that you are always shepherded in Israel.
There was a really good story last week. Benjamin Netanyahu took part in a Zoom call with dozens and dozens of Christian leaders. This was assembled by Mike Evans, who is the head of the Friends of Zion organization and the Friends of Zion Museum in Jerusalem. And Evans asked Netanyahu, on behalf of my Christian friends, is it safe to visit Israel? And Netanyahu said, well, I heard two American friends talking, and one asked the other, is it safe to travel to Israel? And the second one said, well, once you get past JFK in New York, it's fine. And he's not wrong.
It's so true. It is so true. You feel completely safe in Israel.
And in Jordan.
In Jordan,
we spent a night in Amman, the capital city of Jordan, which in the time of Jesus was part of the Decapolis, one of the 10 cities of the Gentiles east of the Jordan River. And it was known as Philadelphia back then. A group from our tour went out because they're young, they didn't need to early bed after walking all day like we did. They went out and experienced the nightlife in Amman. Because our tour guide had said, it's very safe, it's clean, the cafes are wonderful, the shopping is great. And so they went out and they had a wonderful time, came back in well after midnight. They said, it's clean, it's safe, it's like, wow.
Friendly.
Yeah. Their Philadelphia is better than our Philadelphia.
Yeah, so much so. By the way, this is not the Philadelphia of the book of Revelation. That's in Turkey.
Yeah.
But it was, a lot of cities were named like that.
So anyway, we hope you'll join us. You can find out more online. gilberthouse.org/travel or gilbertsinisrael.com. That takes you directly to the Lipkin Tours website, gilbertsinisrael.com.
And by the way, while you are at gilberthouse.org, if you feel inclined to help out with the Build Barn Better project, we still have a few more things to do. You can go to gilberthouse.org/donate. And we thank you for every penny that you have contributed towards this. We are doing our best to be good stewards of it. But I'll tell you what, your generosity has really, really just overwhelmed us.
Yeah, basically just a couple more things to do. HVAC, we're going to put paneling up on the inside and make it look like a barn in there. And
it's a distressed sort of, it's not barnwood, but it's a distressed wall. And it's going to look really neat, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're also putting an insulated door on the front because it does have a 9-foot by 12-foot door that right now is not insulated. Right. That will give it the same insulation value as the spray foam insulation around the inside so that we are not sending heat and air conditioning out through that front door into the Ozark atmosphere. And
they'll put new seals around the door, things like that, so nothing escapes. It'll be wonderful, wonderful, and it's all because of you.
Amen. Join us tomorrow for the Gilbert House Fellowship, our Bible study. Tomorrow night on A View from the Bunker, my guest is John Clash, author of Law of Attraction, a gateway drug, a gateway drug to spiritual heroin. The Law of Attraction.
Well, I'm really glad. There's a story that I shared on Twitter just a few days ago about the rise of this idea, not just in the secular world, but in the Christian world, in genuine Christian churches. The idea that if I think it's coming to me, and I act as if I have it, then I will get it. That is the law of attraction.
Yeah, mind over matter, or you might even call it word of faith.
Yeah, it's got a lot of names, but essentially, you're assuming that the Lord is at your beck and call. Yeah. That's not how it works.
That is not how it works. That's twisting of scripture. So yeah, that's an important conversation. That'll be tomorrow night on A View from the Bunker, released at 7 p.m. Central Time, UTC -5.
Oh boy, you got that all memorized. Well, we wanted to also just thank the fact that many of you have been praying for us. We appreciate that. If you can just say a quick prayer today for my niece Liz Hewitt Broadus. She is on her way home from Uganda. She's been ministering over there all this last week with orphanages and in churches and in all sorts of revival camps. She has, what she shared on Facebook this morning, she was crying. She said that it has been the most humbling experience she has ever had, and this is her second trip there. So just pray she gets home safely because she's on her own.
Yeah.
The rest of the trip, the rest of the mission went a day early.
Yeah. And it just
worked out that way, but it's a God thing. She knows that. She's already had a number of divine appointments where the Lord has brought her someone to talk to while she's there at the airport. So The Lord is in control. The shepherd is with her.
Amen. Amen. Until next time, I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert. Bye-bye, everybody.
P.I.D. Radio is an outreach of Gilbert House Ministries, released under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Follow us online, PIDradio.com, Twitter @PIDradio, or by downloading our free app, PIDradio.com/app or gilberthouse.org/app. Join us each week for our Bible study, the Gilbert House Fellowship.